Hello there, I'm Scotty. You're not welcome back to the Smallville Retrospective. Yes, we're on Season 2, Episode 5, Nocturne. This is one that I was kind of regretting going back because I remember this one not being too good. But you know what? Going back and watching this, it's not as bad as I remember. I'm going to say that. It's not as bad as I remember. There are some important plot stuff that goes in here. It goes on in here, especially with Martha Kent, where her storyline goes this season. But yes. So the main plot line concerns the character of Byron, a teenager who is he's stuck in his basement. By his parents, he's put there, and eventually he's chained there because he keeps getting out at night. And we find out later it's because this place called Metron, not Metatron, just Metron, they were doing these experiments on kids who were introverts, basically. That's what it was. And he was experimented on, so when he gets in the light, he changes into something that is not completely, like, creaturistic because of budget, but he is, like, his face changes, and he's got, like, some kind of weird scars on his body or whatever. They compare it to Jekyll and Hyde on the show, but I think it's like a reverse werewolf, where it's, instead of nighttime and the moon, it's daylight and the sun that turns him. You know, but it's always a full sun, so you can't just, you know, be that way. Byron is played by Sean Ferris, who I've seen in a few things here and there. He's also in the movie Never Back Down, the fighting film. Yeah. I haven't seen that one. I've seen fighting once. I have the movie with Channing Tatum before he was Channing Tatum. But get that out of your heads. Scotty and Magic Mike. Make it stop! Okay, no, I haven't watched any of those movies. I refuse. Couldn't pay me. You have to duct tape me to a chair and force me to watch. You know, force my eyes open to watch that shit. Don't need to see no naked men, okay? If you like that, fine. Not for me. I like the women. I like the boobies. Yeah, I like the boobies. Anyway, yeah, so eventually, of course, we have to have some way for this character to connect with our main character. So, of course, he has a crush on, say with me now, Lana. Because Lana is put into these plots so many times that it's just like, of course it has to be Lana. So he has a thing for Lana. He's writing her poetry, which connects them when one night they meet, and Clark shows up out of frickin' nowhere and knocks the guy down and cracks his head open, and then they sort of meet him. It's the whole, okay, we meet the guy, we figure out who he is, and then he runs back home before the sun comes up and he changes. That leads to them bringing in Sheriff Ethan and everything, and these parents claim, oh, our son died, he drowned in Crater Lake. And I'm like, is that what they think he drowned, but he's this? No, it's the experiment they would find out later. So, when this episode began, I was very confused, because it had been a while. But I was like, why is Lana mad at Clark? What did he do? And she's all talking about, at least, you know, he tells the truth. He can tell the truth, and it lied to me. I'm like, you can trust me. And I'm like, what did he do? And then just before I was ready to record, I remembered, oh, the last episode was red. Okay, that explains why she's mad at him. In the B plot, Lionel keeps firing all of his assistants, and it's at this point, and you know, he needs to get a new one. At this point, I thought, what happened to Dominic? Dominic Santori, Jason Connery, what happened to him? Last time we saw him, he was in Lex's trunk. Did he get fired? I'm assuming. So he needs a new assistant. And would you know it, that very same day, Martha can't be coming to collect the produce check from Lex, and she so happens to read the newspaper, and she shows a business acumen, as Lionel says, and he offers her a job, which she ends up accepting. And as you can imagine, Jonathan is not too happy about it. Yeah. And that leads into like the climax of this. So yeah, that's the big, like, if you want for like an arc for the season type thing, you know, like an ongoing story, that is her getting the job that connects to other episodes. So even if you were to skip this episode, which I'm not saying you should now, like maybe before this, because I don't skip it, but I sort of just usually kind of ignore it. It's not as bad as I thought it was. The one thing that still does bug me is that they decided that they were going to make Byron's transformation very simple. His face is contorted and messed up. He's got a few scars. And he's got like super strength. But that's about it. And something made me go like really quick is that when so Clark, okay, first of all, let's talk about this thing, because this scene, Pete should be dead. Okay, for all intents and purposes, Pete should be dead. Clark and Pete go to Byron's house. And Clark's able to go in, and this made me kind of laugh. The dog comes up, bites him on the arm, like, because I'm assuming he's super strong, so it hurt his teeth when he bit him. I'm like, okay, that's kind of clever. So he goes in, he finds Byron chained up, he unchains him, and even though Byron keeps telling him not to, he takes him into the sun. He flips out, transforms, kind of, and he knocks Clark on his ass, and then takes Pete and chucks him off the porch into a car that's on the side of the house there, in the yard there, and Pete just goes into it. All he got was a hairline fracture in his arm. That boy should be dead, man. He went through that windshield. I was like, damn. I went, God damn. I forgot about that part. He's just in the hospital. He got a hairline fracture. And later he wants his PS2. He's like, I broke down laughing because she's like, I had to go up Pete's clamoring for his PlayStation 2, and I'm like, okay, that really shows how old this is, but also he's able to bring his PS2 to the hospital. I've never stayed overnight at a hospital. I've been in a hospital, but never overnight. I had stomach issues once and had to stay there for a while. I watched Victorious, the episode with the zombie paint on the face. That one was playing on Cartoon Network, and they had not Cartoon Network, Nickelodeon, and there was like a game show. Was it Brain Surge or something like that was playing around the same time? But yeah, so I never had to stay overnight though. Never had that bad. But so they decide that they're gonna try to find him. Clark goes to the Talon. There it is, the Talon, and they've already figured out like what happened to Byron, and this is where they find out. Chloe shows up and tells them that, of course, Lionel Luthor owns Metron, so that had to go in, and she's out. And then Clark said, I'm gonna go look for him, and then Lana decides she's gonna leave her job, the place that she's running, and go. She has managers, I guess, and leaves. Which, by the way, if she's running the place, why does she have to? She can ask managers that can run the thing, right? She technically co-owns it, right? I don't know, but she ends up going straight to him. The very next scene after Clark takes off, she's at the cemetery, Byron's grave, and he's there. And he's transforming. His voice is modulated very badly. And he throws her and knocks her out, because of course. But not before she's able to tell him that Lionel Luthor is responsible. So, of course, Byron shows up at the Luthor mansion. He gets there awful fast. Clark is there. I don't know why, but he is there. He's there to talk to Lex, I guess. That don't really give a reason. He has to be there for the climax, but there's not really a reason why he's there otherwise. And he sees his mom getting to the helicopter, and it's like, it's her first helicopter ride. But then Byron shows up and flips out. Clark's able to save the day. So, my big question still is Lionel Luthor faking it? I told you before, at one point it is revealed that he has been faking it, but for how long and at what point? It doesn't help when the actor keeps blinking his eyes, because I straight up don't think blind people blink their eyes. They have no need to, right? But when you have a person playing blind, they're blinking their eyes, and it's like your eyes wouldn't blink if you're blind, right? I also think it's a weird decision for them to show him without the sunglasses on. You think it'd be easier to act blind with the sunglasses on? Just kind of look away. We'll have to, but I guess they want to show that he can be blind and looking. I don't know. It's very weird to me. But yeah. And Clark is able to tackle Byron into a well. And so that takes away the sun. Now, earlier he freaks out because of a flashlight. But then he's sitting at the Talon with the lights on. So maybe he didn't realize it was just the sunlight. I don't know. It's very weird. Seems very weird because Lana goes to show the light in his face. She's like, no! And that's when Clark shows up out of freaking nowhere. And then they end up at the Talon. And I'm like, wait, he was just afraid of the flashlight. And now he's sitting in a lit room. So it has to just be the sun. But yeah, I do like the scene with Clark and with Lex and Lionel at the end, where basically Martha has helped to better everything, make everything better, and Lionel goes, "I can feel your smirk, Lex." And that's, maybe she'll make a better businessman out of you yet. And again, I don't know when. They never specifically say anything, but I think he did find the bullets that Red Clark shot himself in the arm with, the hand with. I don't know. I'm gonna give this 3 Superman logos out of 5. I think it's decent. There's some stuff that furthers the story. I don't know, the whole nocturnal transformation thing is the Jekyll and Hyde anti-werewolf, reverse werewolf thing is fine, but we never see Byron again, so I don't know. But yeah. So what are your thoughts on this episode? Leave a comment, make sure you like, share, and subscribe. Thanks for watching. I've been Scotty, and I'll see you in the next one. Let's see 10. I'm at 5. I don't know if it's out of 10. I'm at 5.